Hi everybody. I want to change the tutorial that I was already in process with for my Disney album because there's some things I wanted to correct, and I realized after I had already done that video that there's a problem. So this is the new video for this album. It's a tutorial. And you'll have to forgive me because some of the stuff that I've already done is already cut and done because I had some problems with the other video that I was making. Alright, so here are my file folder pages that I have made. They started out as 8.5 by 11 sheets. I put them in my scoreboard and I scored them down at 5 1/4. The reason I did that was because I wanted to give myself a little bit more room between the two edges. In the previous tutorial, I only had about 1/8 of an inch, and I wanted to have a little bit more, so I moved it down to 1/4. Okay, that was the first correction that I did. The second correction that I did was the middle file tab. I want to go ahead and change that middle file tab. There's your 5 1/4, because in the other video tutorial, it doesn't give enough of a tab, and it's not quite as even as the other two tabs, so they're not all the same size. So whereas before for the middle tab I had you going at 3 inches, go instead to 2 3/4 of an inch, flip it over 2 3/4 of an inch, and what that will do is that will give you the tab being the same exact size as the first ones, so that when it sits in the middle you can see that it kind of overlaps nicely. Okay, that's what it's going to do for you, and that's going to give you this look, a little bit more of a uniform look, okay, rather than the middle tab being a little bit smaller. So that was one of the changes. And then the other change that I wanted to show you and to do was on the binding. On the other tutorial, I had you going ahead and putting the pockets on first. You can do that, and then when you go to adhere the binding, put the binding on the back. If you want to put the binding on the front here and cover it with the pockets, you have to put the binding on first. And that's the hidden hinge binding system. So I've had a lot of people ask me about how I'm going to put that together, so that's what I'm going to do majorly on this tutorial, is show you how to get this onto the binding. Okay, I've got 6 file folders here. So on my hidden hinge system, I've gone ahead and done 6 1/2 inch with a 1/4 inch gusset in between. If you've not seen how that's done, it's really simple and straightforward. I like working from the middle out. That's me. Because that gives you an even space between everything. And for me, because I'm using 6, the middle is going to actually be this 1/4 of an inch gusset. Okay, and then you just go your 1/2 inch from there, and then 1/4 inch gusset, and then 1/2 inch, and then 1/4 inch gusset, and then one more time 1/2 inch, and that's it. And then you do the same thing going this way. You do your 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch gusset, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch gusset, and then that will give you, I got one more, so, and then 1/2 inch. And what that basically does is that gives you an equal amount over here left over and an equal amount over here left over. And then once you have this all folded up, you'll get your binding. I'm not going to fold it because that just takes too much time. This one I started with 5, and then I had to do an extra one, which, yeah, it works too. It's not a big deal. I went ahead and folded everything to where I got it all nice and folded. Okay, then what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to add my score tape to the back. And the reason why you do this is because you want to get these peaks that come up that you're going to attach to, you want to get those pretty much solid together so that you're not, you know, just fiddling with it and messing around with it and having it come apart on you, basically. Okay, and this isn't really true score tape, so you're going to have to bear with me. When you adhere these valleys, it just keeps it from moving around. And what it also does too is the way that I put this together once I have this adhesive on here, what it creates is it makes sure that the back part of this album is flat. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay. And again, unlike other people, I go ahead and take it all off. And you'll see why. This tape is actually from PK Glitz, and it was kind of a little bit before the big score tape rush. So I'm kind of trying to use up all the adhesives in my stash. So, okay. Now, here's why you take that all off first. What you're going to do is you're going to keep this bottom part flat, and then you're going to grip this, but you're going to have to put your nails kind of down there and keep both of these pieces down to your mat. Okay? And then adhere them together. And what that's going to do is when you go to do this second one, you're going to again keep that flat. Okay? And then do the same thing. Keep your nail down in that groove and just push down as you're pulling them together. And what that's going to do is that's going to keep this whole bottom piece flat. And with no guessing, no second guessing yourself, no oopsies, no nothing, because it's actually running flat along the base of your mat here. Okay? And I'll show you. See, now you're going to flatten all that out. And look how flat this becomes. And look how perfect that bottom is, and you can see it here when I show you like that. This whole piece right here is nice and straight. Okay, it's not, you know, one kind of come up this way, one kind of coming down. It's all nice, flat, and straight, and it lays really nice and really flat. And where that comes into play is when you want to start adding your binding. If you want to add a rigid binding to this instead of the flexible binding, that's where a lot of that comes into play. Okay, and that's it. That's all you got to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut the extra of this off because I don't need it. Just give myself a little bit over an inch and I should be okay. Hate this cutter. Okay, so there's my binding. That's it. That's all it is. Okay, and I'm also not going to do an extra groove here because I don't know where that span is going to be, because I have chipboard of various sizes and weights and everything else, and sometimes I use the thicker stuff and sometimes I use the thinner stuff depending on how I want my album to look. And so I haven't quite decided what weight I want to use, so I don't know how much of a gap to leave between here and here, because that is going to depend on the type of chipboard that I use. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I'm going to go this way, okay, because it's going to go onto the front of my pages, not on the back of it, and I only need to do one side. Okay, it's another benefit of doing it this way is you only have to do the one side of it. If you want to do, you know, 2 things of score tape and cover the whole thing, that's entirely up to you. I find that 1 is usually plenty. Okay. Oops, come on. Oops. I love score tape. It's kind of forgiving when you're trying to put it down. You can kind of move it and wiggle it and kind of jimmy it a little bit. But once it's down, that's for sure. Okay. Alrighty, there we go. And I'm going to burnish these really good. Get that tape on there nice and tight. Bonded really nicely to the paper. Okay. Alright. Now, again, you're going to work on this. You're going to work backwards to front. Okay, so you're actually going to start with the last envelope first. There's a reason. There's a reason. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to put it in here and you're going to kind of set it up. But now here's the problem. What you want to make sure that you do is instead of butting it up against this way and then coming up with it, if you come up with it like that, what's going to happen is you're going to stay really tight on that angle, and you don't want to do that. You want to have a little bit of flexibility on the angle. So what you want to do is you want to set it down, and then you want to bend this one over. You want to come over with that one. And that's going to give you, and you'll see it when I flip it this way, it's going to give you just a little bit of a gap there. It's about, maybe a 16th or 32nd of an inch. It's not much, but it's enough that it's going to allow this to sit flat going backwards. Okay, that's really important. And again, remember, grab that back one. If you want to flip these over, you can, so that you can remember. And you're going to do the same thing. And another thing that's really nice about doing it this way is it keeps your pages aligned from top to bottom. Okay, so that this one's not going that way too much and they're not going that way too much. It's nice and aligned and straight. Okay. Put that up there just a good bit. Okay, we'll do the same thing. Alright, and there you have it again. You've got that just that little bit of a gap there, which is perfect. Okay, make sure it's the right one. We're good. Another thing, make sure that when you're doing this, that you are not doing an oopsie and putting this on backwards. I've done that. So just, give it a quick double check, double look before you start pushing this down. Otherwise, you're going to kind of get into a little bit of trouble. Oop, hang on, I let go of it. Like I said, the score tape, once you would hear it, it's pretty darn strong. Yeah, I lifted up my finger and so it came off a little bit. Okay, if it comes off a little tiny bit extra, that's okay, it's a little bit forgiving, it's not that big of a deal. But keep your fingers on it and keep it pressed down, otherwise you can lose it. Okay. Okay. And just keep going with that. Okay, that's the right way. Okay. Again, keep that angle there. That. Forward. Flip that over. Okay, come on up to that angle. Sit. And there it is. And there you have it. And that's it. You're done. Okay? And then you'll see that sets really nice and beautiful. And that fans out really nicely that way. Another thing too is by adhering this and doing it the way that I did on the bottom is you get a little tiny bit of flexibility there, because I don't run my score tape all the way down to this. I run it actually at the top, and there's a reason for that. By having that little bit of flexibility, if I need to open this up when I'm attaching a spine or whatever to get the measurements even, it allows for that. Okay? So there you have it. There's your first page. Again, there's that measure. It's 5 1/8, excuse me, not 5 1/4. See, I muffed it up again. It's 5 1/8 to get that good 1/4 inch. Oh, I need to follow my own directions. Sorry. Okay. Middle of the spine. Flip. Flip. and you're all set. Everything's all in there and good. And the nice thing is you can see when this is flat, see how nice and flat these are folding, and then you can flip them the other way and they fold just the same, and then they just fan back out. So that's it. There's your spine. All right, now pockets. Pocket. I was kind of fiddling around with some stuff the other day, and I came up with a couple different things that you can do for pockets. Again, they're entirely up to you on what you want to do and how you want to add them. Pockets are a dime a dozen. Additions are a dime a dozen. Flips are a dime a dozen. It's all a matter of how you want to add them, how you want to combine them, and what you want it to look like. If you want a lot of flips, flaps, and folds and everything else, then do it. The only thing that you got to do is you got to plan for it at the beginning. You can't go halfway through and be like, I want to do that. It doesn't work that way. You got to plan for it at the beginning. Okay? Here is my main pocket that I do on most all of my pages. It's the half pocket with the two sides. And to do that, this is 8.5 again. It's an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I just cut 3.5 inches down. And then what I'll also do is I will find the center of this. You can do it with a centering ruler. You can do it with a little pinch. You can do it however you want to do it. It's no big deal. And I will take my little tabs that I've just made. And put them on. And that's literally as easy as it is to make these pockets. If you want to worry about, using one sheet and then folding it instead of doing these little tabs, you can. It's entirely up to you. If that's the case and that's how you want to make this pocket, you would make it 9.5 inches wide using a 12 by 12 sheet, and then you would make it, instead of 3.5 inches, you'd make it 4 inches, and then you would do a 1/2 inch on each side, and you would cut and fold accordingly. That it's entirely up to you. I personally don't care one way or the other. Either way doesn't bother me. If I wanted to even do this, to do my bottom piece and fold my bottom piece up, and make this a 3-inch pocket so that I didn't have to worry about that fold, that would be simple. All I would do is just add that little pocket there, fold this up, add my score tape. When you're doing pockets, though, I will tell you, use the score tape. Do not just use your ATG gun. It will not hold. They will come apart. I have an album right now that I originally used ATG with, and it is completely coming apart. So, just that word to the caution on that. Okay, and for this one, again, I'm going to do that center pocket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little center thing. I know this is 8.5. So if I go to 4 1/4, I should be in the dead center. Okay, and then do the same thing right next to it. Oops, I'm kind of off camera probably, sorry. Okay, butt those two up against each other, and then that'll give you that little lip of that pocket there. If you want this whole piece to just be one pocket, then don't do that middle step. Again, that's entirely up to you. Doesn't have to be too perfect, but I like for it to be kind of close and look pretty, so my edges aren't all fluffy. Okay. And again, just take it and go. Get all your adhesives off. Okay. If there's a little bit of a gap here, it doesn't matter because you're not going to worry about it. Because this piece is going to be attached to the base anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, remember, you're going to have to leave this edge. Don't butt it all the way up against that edge. You're going to have to leave just a little bit of a 1/4 of an inch so you get that fold that you can use. So find the base and guide yourself to the base on the edges. Okay, there you go, and then just flatten that and adhere it down, and that's it. Voila, you have your little pocket, and I'll show you how it goes. See, and that goes to the center there, and then this one goes to the center here. You can't move it any farther. All right, that's that pocket. That's as simple as that pocket is. And like I said, you can eliminate this one and have the whole thing as a pocket. Make it short or long as you want. That's what I did on my Disney one for almost all of the front parts of the pockets. This is a split. This is a hole. This is a hole. This is a split. This is a hole. And this one I did a pocket on the bottom. Okay? This one you just do your measurements up and then your 1/2 inch, and then fold it. Pretty simple. One of the things that I was kind of messing with to see if I would like the looks of it or not is a flip out. Okay? I kind of like the idea of this. I didn't know how it would look on here or not. I'm not kind of sure, because the front piece here, with something like this, you want to put your pattern paper down first because you want to get this edge covered. You don't want to see this binding, because if I put this like this, you're not going to be able to get that covered, and it's just going to look funky. Unless I was going to put it like on this type of page, then you can do that. This is really basic and simple to do. This is your this is the 11 inch length. Okay, and yeah, this is your 11 inches. You score it 3.5 and then 8.5, and that brings you in like this. And then to make this, I went to 1 inch on the envelope punch board, and then 1 inch on the envelope punch board, punch, and that gave me this 1 inch tab. And then I just cut a slit right where that comes down, and that's it. And that's a little fold down. Okay, and cover this with pattern paper, and you're good to go. And I made 2 of them. I'm going to throw them in there somewhere. I just don't know where yet. And then I'm going to make the rest of the pockets, and then I'll do the, when it comes to putting this together into the actual binding itself, I will have to bind my chipboard up first. I don't know what I'm going to cover this in yet, and as soon as I do that, I will take some pictures and show you. But anyways, that's it. That's with the corrections. Again, that's 5 1/8 to the inside fold on the 8.5 by 11 on the 11 inch side. And then this to here for the middle is 2 3/4. Alright. I hope you guys enjoyed and look and see everything, and I hope it works out for you, and let me see how you guys do. Thanks much for watching.